Good evening, everybody, and welcome to London Detective Mysteria. I have finally had some dinner and some pizza. It has a vegetable on it. One single vegetable. So I'm fine. I'm all healthy and fine, and I hope you guys are too. Everybody doing swell this evening? I might have gone too hard earlier today, so I might be a bit quiet, but let me know if the volume is too unbalanced. Imbalanced? English is hard, everything is hard. Confrontation at sea. Oh yeah, it was this creeper. He's really hot, but his personality... I endeavored to move as far as possible from the man who had introduced himself as Porlock. He leaned against the bars of my cage, staring in at me. His voice was cheerful, and the grin played at the corners of his lips, but his eyes remained unimpassioned, cold as ice. You see, that would also be hot if it wasn't for all of these specific crimes. I'm okay with some crimes. There's a reason that I'm going to pursue Lupin after this. Yeah, these crimes are special though.
ああ、その通り。でも、優秀だからって脱獄させてくれたんだ。昔の上司がね。
I forgot. Is he another one of Moriarty's men?
ちょうど不自由な監獄暮らしにも飽きてたし、そのお誘いに乗ったんだ。そういえば君、あのホワイトリー家の当主なんだって？
Yep, the head due to being the only member left.
別に親が殺されて大変だろうなって思っただけ。
It sure is a rough time.
ホワイトリーの人間が生きていようがいまいが僕には関係ないしね。
Hi, Tuxedoji!
たかが組織のお偉いさんのご機嫌を取るために無駄な労力なんて使いたくないんだ。
Tuxedoji, I forgot. Is Porlock another one of Moriarty's men along with Moran? Moran?
でも貴族のお嬢様だったらこんな狭い檻は辛くない？
そんなのもう慣れたわ。辛いどころか快適よ。
He is? I see. So Moriarty is probably the game's overarching mastermind, huh? Well, I'd rather be in here in this cage than beside you. Even though you are very handsome. Unaware of what thoughts might be simmering behind his unfeeling eyes, I couldn't help but feel a certain nervousness being around him. And it's not Doki's.
そういうそっけない皮肉を返す子、僕も嫌いじゃないよ。素直になった時とのギャップが楽しめるから。
Oh, his voice is really good though. I suspect it varies on the route you take. Yeah. So, the first 3 routes that you're allowed to take are, I think Holmes, Watson, and Akechi over here. And I assume that Moriarty and his guys are, the main villains of Holmes and Watson's, at least. And he doesn't have much of a connection with Akechi, and yet he's the overarching villain here. I wonder how they're gonna connect him to Lupin if he shows up there. Like, does Moriarty have a French branch or something like that?
でも、君をここに閉じ込めて、少しだけ両親が傷んでいるのは本当さ。
あれだけたくさんの子供を閉じ込めているというのに。
うん、君は可愛いから特別さ。
Wow, that's really rude to all these children.
正直、もう見飽きたんだよね。それに、眠らせるか、薬でおとなしくさせるかしないとうるさくてしょうがない。
This guy is a terrible babysitter.
言うことを聞かせやすいのは長所だけど、うるさくてすぐに使い物にならなくなるのが短所だよね。ま、だからたくさん用意して補充できるようにするんだけど。
I couldn't help but shudder at the way he spoke so casually about his entire operation. I'm beginning to think this kidnapper, drugger, and slaver isn't a good person. What could give you that idea? But he's hot, so it's okay.
あなた、補充だなんて、なんてことを。
僕の役に立ってくれるんだったら君をここから出してあげてもいいけど、どう？
Joke's on you, we're always useless.
私は嫌よ、そんなこと。
別に君が好き好んで従うなんて思ってないよ。嫌だろうけど僕は君を従わせるって言ったら？
いいえ、そんなのお断りよ。この犯罪の片棒を担ぐくらいなら一生檻の中にいた方がマシだわ。
へえ、ずいぶん強気で自信があるんだね。逃げ出せるとでも思ってるの？さっきも似たようなセリフを返されたけど、君はさらに釣れない言葉だな。あの侍くんも君も自分の立場ってものを分かっていないね。
If you touch a single white hair on Akechi's head, we'll end you. Hi, Blueberry Shakes! Welcome! We're playing London Detective Mysteria. Just because he practices Japanese swordplay doesn't mean he's a samurai. Don't be racist.
僕は人の心なんて当てにしないけど、能力のある人材には関心がある。本当なら殺して構わないところを利用価値があると思って生かしてやる。ずいぶん優しいと思わない？
思わないわ。それはただの飼い殺しよ。
どうせ給品員で使い潰される運命なんだ。だったら僕たちの役に立つ方がよっぽど有意義だと思うよ。
So the overarching villain is capitalism.
それに不自由なく生きてきた人間の言葉っていまいち僕の胸に響かないんだよね。そんな貴族のお嬢様に一つ尋ねたいんだけど、この刀に見覚えある？
Moriarty the Patriot would be ashamed of this Porlock? Yeah.
あれは明智さんの。
Because Freya here is one of the good rich people, not like the bad rich people. We shouldn't eat her. I was stunned to see Akechi's precious katana in Porlock's possession.
明智さん、まさか捕まって。
Oh yes, he did. Because guess what? He's fool. My heart began to race. I clenched my fists, palms moist. Steadfastly, I avoided Porlock's gaze, that he might not detect how shaken I was.
落ち着くのよ。私を助けるために来てくれたんだとバレたら、それを利
Oh,
用される
Freya,
かも
you're
しれ
an
ない。
open book.
それだけはした見覚えなんて。
I did my utmost to keep my voice steady as I spoke.
へえ、そうなんだ。君の知り合いのものじゃないの？
知らないわ。
あっそ。君に心当たりのあるものだったら興味も湧いたんだけど、違うのか？残念だな。僕はフェンシング派だからサーベルだったらよかったんだけど、こんな骨董品もう僕には必要ないし何の価値もないね。幸い船の四方は海に囲まれてるからゴミ捨て場には困らない。
Porlock made as though to leave katana in hand, but before I realized it, I had called out after him. Took the
やめ
bait.
て。君、年上への頼み方って知ってる？
Ah.
やめてください。
Oh.
お願い。
そうそう、そうやって素直になった方がいい。もっといじめたくなるから。
This would be really good in a different context.
だけど、君って仲間思いなんだね。自分を曲げてでも、捕まった仲間をかばおうとするんだから。他人のために必死になる人間って、一番嫌いなんだよね。見ててイライラするんだ。
With a sudden motion, he violently pitched the katana into the cage holding the children. He's given the kids a sword! It clattered loudly against the floor, bouncing several times before it slid to a stop. The noise seemed so loud in that quiet place it froze me to the spot. There, please use that deep vocal fry more, thank you, also die.
次に僕の誘いを断ったら君はすごく後悔することになるよ。多分ね。
多分。
東洋人の仲間が大切だったらよーく考えることだね。
A serpentine smile on his satisfied face. Porlock left without another word. As soon as he had left, I fell to my knees. Akechi's katana was far out of reach, and yet, even knowing the futility of my struggle, I stretched my arm as far as I was able through the bars. I pressed with all the force I could muster. Squeezing my upper arm through so narrow a gap, I felt a tightening pain in my shoulder. Still, I could not help but try. Oh, the frustration was nigh unbearable. Darling.
私は明智さんの大切なものも守れないの。ポーロックに従うなんてできないわ。
I had tried to summon forth as much courage as I could in the face of his taunting, but ultimately I had allowed myself to be rattled and given him exactly what he had wanted.
弱気になってはダメよ。二人とも同じ船の中にいるんだから。
As if to beat back the worry and loneliness that had threatened to overwhelm me, I clenched my fist and pushed, trying to earn even one more inch of reach through the bars that held me prisoner. Oh. Meanwhile, third-person view. Akechi, confined within a cage of his own along with Kobayashi, stared down at his left hand.
落ち着かないのか、明智。
Are you okay, Ken-chan?
そんなんじゃありません。
でも、やっぱりレディが心配なんじゃ。
小林。
なんだよ。今さら言い訳なんて。
違います。誰か。
Yeah, he's not even gonna try to beat Tsundere, huh? Hearing at last the slowly approaching footsteps, Kobayashi turned his attention cautiously in that direction. The footfalls stopped in front of their cell.
あなたたちに探偵としての依頼を頼みたい。
Despite his proximity, the man stood in the shadows, rendering the features of his face indistinguishable.
ポーロックたちの不法な人身取引を阻止してほしい。
あなたは何者ですか？
それを教えることはできない。頼みましたよ。
There's a lot of talented voice actors in this. As the man spoke up, he tossed something between the bars of their cage. Kobayashi was quick to snatch it up.
これ、俺の残りの7つ道具。
Oh?
レディ。
His purpose seemingly fulfilled, the mysterious visitor turned and walked away, the sound of his footsteps growing more distant.
おい、待て。
Mysterious.
何だったんだ。
どうやら僕たちは依頼されたようですね。
一体誰が何のために。
わかりません。ですが、もしかして
心当たりがあるのか。
いえ。ですが、彼が檻を抜け出すためにそれを渡してきたのは明らかです。
Akechi glanced at Kobayashi's tools, selecting a utility knife from among them. Ah, yes. What is a knife but a small sword? He slid the knife into the lock, then with a sharp twist of his wrist turned the blade, destroying its mechanism from within.
依頼を受けるにしても、無視するにしても、ここでおとなしくじっとしている理由はありません。
待てよ、明智。
小林？
Akechi showed no hesitation to leave the cage, but Kobayashi placed his hand firmly on Akechi's shoulder, forcing him to pause.
いいか、明智。
あ？
今から俺が言うこと。お前は確かに強い。だけど、それはお前が思い切り戦えていたらの場合だ。
That's a pretty hard thing to do. Good strength, Mr. Akechi? Yeah, it's all his sword training.
今までみたいに何かを守りながら戦ったり、人質を取られたりしたら、優しいお前は 絶対に自分よりそっちを優先させる。そうなったら絶対に勝てない。
小林。
だからお前はポーロックたちを倒すことだけを考えろ。
いや、
他のことは考えるな。
Yeah, have faith in me, okay, Akechi? Have faith that I'll stay safe even without you.
レディも子供たちも俺が絶対に守りきるから。
Yeah, have trust in me and your best friend Kobayashi. Your BF Kobayashi.
守りながら戦うのは簡単なことではありませんよ。
よく知ってるよ。ずっと明智と戦ってきたんだからな。
お前一人に任せるわけには。
ひどいな。これでも俺は明智の助手だぜ。少しは俺のこと信じろよ。さもないと本当にお前の助手をやめてやるぞ。
Yeah.
それは困りますね。
His little smile.
海の上でも丘の上でもお前のような問題児の面倒を見れるのは僕しかいないんですから。
それはこっちのセリフだってな。
The two of them turned to each other with a nod, both seeming to suppress a smile. Then, as if sensing each other's thoughts, the two strode forth from the cell together.
おい明智、お前武器はどうするんだ。俺はさっき起こされた道具の中に予備のパチンコあったからなんとかなるけど。
Akechi surveyed the environs carefully, scanning the room until his gaze landed on something propped up in the corner.
明智、まさか。
お借りします。
Is it a gun? Is it a gun?
それ
Oh.
小舟用の。
言っておきますが、似合わないという言葉は受け付けませんよ。小林、今度は僕が敵の注意を引きつけます。だから彼女を頼む。
了解。
Their paths diverged there, Akechi to subdue Porlock and his henchmen, and Kobayashi to save Freya and the children. No sooner had they split than Akechi came upon several guards, whom he began to dispatch one by one the second they entered his line of sight. With what? Show us his weapon! Show us.
一体どうやってあの檻を。早く捕まえろ。相手の武器はただのオールだぞ。ですが出原さん、あのガキ動きが速すぎてついていけな。
戦う気がないのなら引いてください。道の邪魔です。
Drawn by the commotion, more of Porlock's men began to appear on the scene, but none proved agile enough to match Akechi's speed and ferocity, and one after another they fell before him. With an oar. That's right, it's Musashi. The last left standing, surrounded by his fallen compatriots, Dehar began to back away. Oh wow, he lasted this long, huh? Unless Akechi was purposely saving him for last?
こうなったら
He slid his hand into his jacket. He's got a gun!
すみませんが。
Before he was able to move, Akechi brought the oar hard into his stomach, knocking the wind from him.
あなたには道案内をしてもらいます。
He's the boss now. He's going to rattle his sword at Porlock. Dehar's arm in a vice-like grip, Akechi finally ascended to the ship's deck.
やれやれ。波が収まって、ようやく雲間から月が顔を出したっていうのに。ずいぶん騒がしいね、侍くん。日本には月をめでる習慣ってのがないのかい？
The moon is beautiful, but not with you.
もちろんあります。
Actually, I forgot. Is Soseki like a thing right now? Was Soseki the 19th century? It's not a mutiny, it's an invasion. Exactly, Tuxedoji. A swift, well-placed strike from Akechi's oar sent Dehar sprawling to the ground unconscious. Porlock looked on with what seemed to be a great sense of amusement. A glass of port wine cradled between his fingers.
月光は闇夜を導く神聖な光です。昔から日本人はその輝きに思いを託して歌や和歌を詠んできました。 中秋の名月には船の上から水面に浮かぶ月と空に浮かぶ月、その両方を楽しみ十五夜をめでます。
Soseki was 1867 to 1916? Oh, nice. So he's probably in his, height of popularity right now.
へえ、それは贅沢な楽しみ方だね。それなら。
Porlock drained the rest of his glass in a single gulp. That's a waste. And with a sweep of his hand threw the glass out into the black expanse of the ocean. That's littering!
どうだろう、侍くん。ちょうど退屈していたところなんだ。僕を楽しませてくれないか？ただし、心臓を串刺しにされても文句は言わないでくれよ。僕、こう見えて遊びは全力で楽しむタイプなんだ。
We're the only one who gets to touch Akechi's heart. Porlock took hold of his saber, propped it up against the railing. With an almost childlike smile, he brandished the weapon, pointing its tip straight towards Akechi's heart.
お受けしますよ。僕も真剣勝負には全力で挑むたちです。
Akechi raised his makeshift weapon at Porlock.
真剣勝負ね。見たところ君の武器は真剣ですらないみたいだけど。
Sadly, he only started writing in 1905, so this is probably too early for him. Oh, really? Wow, I assumed that he had started young. So he was, 38? Wow. Just goes to show it's never too late to start something new.
あなたのような子供じみた悪党にはこれで十分です。
強がりはやめておいた方がいい。ピンチになった時に言い訳できなくなるよ。ああ、強がりといえば侍くんにも見せてあげたかったな。あのお嬢様が強がってるところ。
You can become a professional author, Tuxedoji. At Porlock's provocations, Akechi remained silent, clenching his oar all the more tightly.
君たちをかばって必死に強がってたくせに、君の刀を捨てようとした途端にバカみたいに慌ててさ。ああいう可愛くていじめがいのある女っていいね。飼い殺してやりたくなる。
No.
黙れ。それ以上彼女を愚弄するな。
Oh, this looks cool. Spurred to action, Akechi took the initiative. With incredible speed, he stepped forward, swinging his oar upward at Porlock's throat. Without the time to evade, Porlock had no choice but to block the strike with his saber. The curved blade bit into the handle of the wooden oar, remaining lodged there momentarily.
へえ、侍くんは東洋人のくせに西洋人の女に気があるんだ。でもそうムキにならない方がいい。見苦しい男は古今東西、女には好かれないよ。
Hey, Akechi may be fool, but we love him.
あなたに助言を受ける筋合いはありません。
その場の情にほだされるなんて君もつまらない男だね。ああ、ついでに今のうちに聞きたいんだけど、僕の仲間になる気はもうないと見ていいのかな？
最初からそのつもりです。
それならよかった。何の憂いもなく君を串刺しにできる。
The dumber the child, the cuter they are. Wow. How cute am I then? And Akechi is very, very cute, that's true. The edge of Porlock's saber shaved away at Akechi's oar, flitting closer with each pass. Akechi stepped back, widening the distance between them.
その武器じゃ君は僕に致命傷すら与えられなさそうだね。
Good thing he's not here to kill.
残念だな。真剣を手にした君はもっともっと動きが冴えていたんだろう。
そういうのを東洋ではただの杞憂というんですよ。
そうか。じゃあ手加減なんかする必要もないね。
Somehow both incredibly cute and smart as a wild one-liner. Aw, thank you! With every attack and defense, with each strike and parry, Porlock's blade chipped away at his oar, reducing its reach little by little with every pass.
どうした？そんな武器じゃ僕には届かないよ。
Finally accepting that his weapon had been whittled away to near uselessness, Akechi threw the hacked wooden haft away.
へえ侍くん武器と一緒に勝負と命も捨てた
It's Bartetsu time.
あいにくですが僕はどんな時も勝負と自分の命は投げ出したことがありません。無手の試合は破門前に師匠に教わって以来ですけど。
丸腰相手に申し訳ないけど今すっごく気分がいいんだ。もう少し僕に付き合ってよ。君が死ぬまででいいからさ。
Oh, jeez, he said Sukiyatte. Oh, hi, Zakuichi. Thank you for the sip. Nice.
あのワインを断っておいて正解でしたね。あの薬の匂いは忘れたくても忘れられません。
Akechi frowned at the scent of crystal that hung in the salty air.
いいね久しぶりにゾクゾクしてきたよ。人の殺し合いを眺めてるよりずっと面白い。手駒にいろいろやらせるのもいいけどやっぱりたまには自分でも動かないとな。
A look of overwhelming bliss sprawled across his features. Porlock stabbed his blade toward Akechi once more. I don't think he's okay.
西洋の攻めの体制は読みにくい。
Also, I thought it was a rule among dealers to not get high off your own supply. Is that a saying?
ホームズ君ほどの動きは取れませんが。
Akechi focused the whole of his attention on the trajectory of the... I bit my tongue. Okay. Focused the whole of his attention on the trajectory of the saber as it lanced toward him. Oh? Kobayashi time?
しら船の中が
Just as I grabbed the iron bars and pulled myself to my feet.
このガキそんなふざけた道具で俺に勝てるとでも
He's coming. Huh? Why isn't this one voiced? I saw the guard nearest my cage let out a scream and fall to the ground, and no sooner had he hit the floor than I saw a blessedly familiar face.
レディ助けに来たぞ。
Yeah.
小林く
He came running to my cell, slingshot in hand.
ん無事だったのね。
ちょっと離れてて今出してやるから。
Kobayashi plucked a utility knife from his kit, jamming it into the keyhole and giving it a twist. Moments later, the door swung open and I was free.
よしあとはこいつらの檻も。レディ
Hi, Glyphs! Kobayashi is busting us out of this joint. As Kobayashi talked, I had bounded from my cell, scurrying to pick up Akechi's katana from where it lay on the floor. I see your little brother is breaking you out of jail or something? That's right. Our cute little Kobayashi. Although it was not my first time handling the Eastern Blade, my worry for its owner seemed to imbue the weapon with a greater weight just as before.
その刀ってもしかして明智の。
小林くん明智さんは
あいつも無事だよ。今頃部下を蹴散らして上でポーロックと。
早くこれを渡さなきゃ。
Before I had even realized, I was dashing toward the door.
ダメだってレディ今明智とポーロックのところに行っても。
It's okay, we're a protagonist and on the way to the good end. It's impossible for us to die.
ごめんなさい小林くん。
Sorry, Kobayashi, this isn't your route. I shook off his positions and flew from the room into the corridor beyond.
ごめんなさい。だけど早くこの刀を明智さんに。
I ran and ran as fast as my legs would carry me, past the legions of Porlock's minions who lay sprawled unconscious on the floor. With each step, I clutched Akechi's katana more tightly in my arms. Finally, I found myself on the ship's deck, and there before my eyes the two were locked in combat.
明智さん。
I had arrived just in time to see Akechi covered in cuts, stop Porlock's saber with a bare-handed grasp. Akechi? Oh my god!
外と体力あるね。
I thought that the barehanded blade block was like just in movies and stuff. Like, oh my god! Porlock is one heck of a name.
あなたの体力が薬で乏しいだけです。
What a beautiful polycule instead. This is our boyfriend Akechi. And that was Akechi's boyfriend Kobayashi. I'm still very proud of that little meme that I made. Akechi shifted his weight, driving his elbow into the pit of Porlock's stomach. Porlock reeled visibly from the impact, his breath coming rough and ragged. Akechi too stepped back several paces, then fell to his knees.
Akechi-san!
I shouted as loud as I was able, hoping my voice would reach him.
どうして？
いいね、すっごくいい。もっとだ、もっと僕を楽しませろ。
Porlock, I don't consent to this. Porlock had staggered to his feet and advanced on Akechi once more, saber in hand.
刀を！
お願い。どうか。
I threw the katana toward him, sending a heartfelt prayer along with it. Even as it sailed through the air, the tip of Porlock's saber bore down on Akechi like a savage fang. Akechi's own attention was divided as he split his focus between catching his weapon and the approach of Porlock's blade. Just as the sheath of Akechi's katana landed with a slap in his palm, Porlock struck with a murderous thrust. I threw the katana. It flew directly into Akechi's side. The strikes happened in an instant, too quickly to register at a glance. Oh? Ah, just like in the samurai movies. An unbroken silence reigned for what felt like an eternity. So rapidly was my attention focused on the scene before me that I very nearly forgot to breathe. Huh?
侍君、こういうのなんて言うんだっけ。武士の情けってやつ？
残念ですが、それは違います。僕は決して殺しません。必要以上に傷つけもしません。
What a good
それは
boy.
僕の意志です。
The spine of the blade in Akechi's hand glimmered aloft, touched by the rays of the moon. That lesser light shone brilliantly against the dark of sea and sky, illuminating the graceful curve of Akechi's blade.
それに言っておきますが、僕は武士でも侍でもありません。ただの日本人の探偵ですから。
Plus, samurai and mercy are not historically very connected concepts. Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. Samurais were kind of like the knight class, and the code of chivalry is more of a modern sort of invention. It's kind of like really romanticized. So, like, again, people have always been people.
それじゃあこれって探偵の情け。おかしいな。やっぱりわからないな。情けとか優しさとか本当にわからないよ。探偵くんの言うことなんて。
Haha, you got owned by a high schooler. His saber clattered to the deck, and Porlock's body followed thereafter.
そう簡単に理解できるものではありませんよ。どんなに見苦しい姿を晒しても守りたい。そう思える人に会えれば話は別ですが。
Ah, he means us. The long and short of it is, who's going to enforce Bushido code when the one guy who knows how to use a sword is breaking it? Yeah, that sounds about right. With those words, Akechi paused, sheathing his katana. Sheathing? Sheathing? I don't know.
明智さん。
あなたは小林と一緒にいるはずじゃ。
ごめんなさい。小林くんはちゃんと私を止めようとしてくれたの。
Please don't fire him.
だから
Please don't eject him from the polycule.
彼の静止を振り切ったということですか。まったくあなたという人は。ですが
Akechi began walking toward me, a resigned smile upon his face. But just as he finished speaking, oh, is it because Porlock's not dead? Yeah, he took out his gun and fired a shot, right? The sound of a gunshot rang out, shattering the quiet that had settled upon the deck, and he winced, grabbing his right shoulder.
まさか撃たれて。
よくやってくれたよ。
Oh, it's that
明
guy.
智君。
Oh, I forgot about him. The samurai will hold each other accountable, like they aren't trained to always defend each other? Ah, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Anyway. Dehar slowly picked himself up from the ground, clutching the back of his head. In his other hand he held a gun, pointed directly at Akechi. As soon as I saw it, I immediately leapt between the two of them. Yeah, I'm sure that'll stop this cultist dude.
ポーロックが倒れた今、この船も全権ももたらされる利益は全て私のものだ。
Really? You think there's not gonna be like a dozen other guys fighting for this?
しかし明智君、よく先ほどの銃弾を避けられたな。
And how long has he been conscious?
先ほどのお返しをたっぷりしてやろう。最初は手、その次は足、順番に撃ち抜いてやる。さあ、さっさとそこをどけ。代わりにお嬢さんの手足を差し出すか。
彼の狙いは僕です。あなたは離れて。
そんなことできないわ。
If I moved, I would expose the worn-down Akechi to the muzzle of Dehar's gun. My heart raced, my legs shook. It took all that I could muster to stand steadfast, but I was determined not to yield even an inch.
頼むから僕の言うことを聞いてくれ。
No, Akechi, you may be fool, but guess what? We're also fool.
明智さんを見捨てるなんてできるはずないわ。
どっちもうるさいな。そんなに嫌なら二人まとめて。
As if preparing for what might come next, I closed my eyes. Oh? I heard a single gunshot and Dehar crying out in surprise. Oh, is it Porlock? Out of honor? As I opened my eyes again, I saw the gun fall from his hand to the deck.
そんな、一体誰が、どこから。
じっとして。
Tension filled his voice. As he spoke, the katana once more flashed from its sheath, cleaving an arc through the air. Akechi's blade smote Dehar's chest, sending the man reeling backward and tumbling to the ground. And there was Akechi, sword firmly in hand, standing by my side, defending me from harm.
明智さん。
As he fell to his knees, I hastened to support him.
怪我してませんか。
Though his body was covered in cuts from Porlock's saber, and though he had taken a bullet to the shoulder, he seemed concerned only for my welfare. Akechi, no.
明智さん。こんなに怪我をしているのに。
Oh.
すみません。先ほどの銃弾をちゃんと避けられていれば、あなたをあんな目に遭わせず。
Not sending him into the drink 0 out of 10.
明智さん。
Oh. I felt uneasy still, scared even, but at the same time I felt an overwhelming gladness and relief. Such conflicting feelings whirred and clashed in my mind that I could scarcely speak. Unable to restrain myself, I threw my arms around him, pulling him close.
あの。
また会えて。こうして
Oh.
触れることができて。
僕はこうしてあなたに支えられてばかりですね。あなたには一番見せたくないはずなのに。 見苦しい姿を見せてばかりです。女性にかばわれるなんて生まれて初めてでしたし。
無茶なことをして。
まったくですね。あなたは本当に。
That's what you like about us, right? His voice was kind, and I could feel his touch, soft and gentle, as he caressed my head.
本当に危なっかしくて目を離せません。あなたのことを考えていたら、自然と海の上にここに来ることになっていました。
I had caused him no end of trouble and considerable worry for my safety. And yet, even then, he held me close so gently, I could scarcely understand why. In the sway of such emotion, my own thoughts were slow in forming. Oh, I'm always slow in thinking.
それになぜでしょうね。あなたの前だとうまく振る舞えないことが多いのに、それを嫌だとは思わない。あなたならこんな僕でも見放さずにいてくれる、そう思えるから。
Yeah.
見放すだなんて。
Having said that, I found myself unable to say any more. But although my words had ceased, my arms encircling him had lost none of the vigor of their embrace. So, how's Kobayashi doing? Oh? Oh, we've got one more chapter, huh? Well,
海の上、月の下で。
on the ocean and under the moon. Ah, is this going to be where we decide whether we want to follow Akechi back to Japan? A lone carriage sailed through the fog-covered back streets of London, its four wheels clattering over the cobblestones. Is Pendleton mad at us? Wedding chapter? Aww! At last, it came to a stop in one nondescript, deserted alleyway.
では報告を。
Morin!
モラン大佐。
The carriage's window opened without a sound, and from within, a quiet voice was audible against the night's stillness. Wait, that chapter title, those are lyrics to Smooth by Santana, featuring Rob Thomas?
はい。
The tense voice of a man could be heart in reply. Well, you can't have it all.
ポーロックは手はず通りにドッグランズ港を出港しました。現在は英国植民地であるアジア本薬を保管していたセントスピラ教会の地下はあなた様の指示通りに焼き払いました。我々の形跡をスコットランドヤードやあのシャーロック・ホームズに感づかれることはまずないかと。
Ah, Sherlock. Right, he's still in business, huh? Airlock's dad. I wonder what he's like.
ご苦労だった。
しかしよろしいのですか、あのポーロックを放っておいて。
It was not wise.
彼には組織の一員である自覚が足りません。あのようなものに仕事を一任するなど。
ポーロックは昔から変わった男だった。イーストエンドの貧民街の生まれでな。それ以外は拾ってやった私にも教えようとはしない。与えられる善意や行為に嫌悪の目を向け、いつも人を品定めしていたな。自分にとって利用価値があるのかと。裏切り者に容赦のない我が忠実な右腕と違って、彼は人に心のありようなど求めない。求めるのは能力だけだ。彼のわかりやすい考え方が気に入った。
I can definitely see the appeal.
ですが、好き勝手に動き回られては、いつあなた様にいらぬ手間をかけるかわかりません。
This man is really named Colonel Moron? Yeah.
この私がポーロックに足元を救われるとでも？
I wonder who this man could be. It is a mystery.
彼の行動が我々に損害をもたらす可能性は十分にあります。
モラン大佐、案じる必要は何もない。ポーロックが命令通りに動かなかったところで、我々の力が衰えることはない。代わりなどいくらでもいる。 社会につまはじきにされたものや弱者が生み出される限り、我々が人手不足に陥ることなど
Oh, that's
ありえない
devious.
のだからな。
Not long after, the carriage began to move once again, disappearing into the same blanketing fog from whence it had come. Hi, Biblio! Thank you so much for the raid! Welcome, welcome! We're on the tail end of Akechi's route in London's detective mysteria. We've just, I guess, dismantled a cartel? Wait, is it appropriate to say cartel when it comes to just like a generic sort of drug distribution organization with various other crimes such as slavery and whatnot? Is cartel only for like Latin American stuff? Is there a generic word for that? Returning the favor? Yeah. It's like ping pong. Well, when things had at last become calm, Kobayashi and I left the children in Akechi's care and set about searching the ship from top to bottom. Oh, Akechi is babysitting! Cartel is generic, no fear? Awesome.
二人とも様子はどうでした？
隅から隅まで探したけど、やっぱり
あの時デハルさんの拳銃を撃ったのは
Thank you so much for the follow, Wrecker!
誰だったのかしら。
I found myself thinking back to my earlier exchange with the ship's captain.
ポーロック様がやられたんじゃ。あんたたちに逆らえる道理もない。燃料が足りなくて引き返せないが、中継地点の港まであんたたちをちゃんと運ぶ。だからこれ以上何も聞かないでくれ。
Ah, this poor guy. Maybe it was a ghost? Ships have ghosts. Can ghosts use guns?
確かにポーロックやデハルさん、彼の部下たちを檻の中に閉じ込めたわ。
Oh! Oh, it wasn't Porlock. It was the other guy who we know who has a gun. Oh my god. Pendle gun.
だけど彼のあの話し方、何かにとても怯えていたような。
Pendle gun. If they died with the gun on hand, I think they can use that gun. Then what would be the circumstances for them to die on a boat with a gun in their hand? Only ghosts can take the ghost gun feat. I'm a flower and I can use this emote, so maybe ghosts can use gun too? Wow, I didn't know that flowers could use guns.
それに明智さんと小林くんを檻から助けた人物もわからないままだわ。
So it was Pendleton. I thought that his voice sounded like Pendleton's, but since Kobayashi didn't comment on it, I thought that I was hearing it wrong. I cannot imagine why a person would die using a gun on a boat. I don't think that happens. Okay, yeah, I realized after it left my mouth. I looked up from my thoughts to see Akechi walking away, hand pressed firmly to his shoulder. It's because, you know, I would think that the person holding the gun would usually be the one making ghosts.
明智さん。
I mean, if they're good at using it at least.
いえ、二人が戻ってきたので、この場を任せて僕は傷の。
それならお手伝いするわ。
ですが、あなたの手を煩わせる。
Too bad. It's called intimate healing.
そんなこと気にしないで。私が明智さんの役に立ちたいだけだから。
I gently took his hand in mine.
行きましょう、明智さん。
He turned his face away from mine, obviously embarrassed, but even as he did so, his grip on my hand tightened. It's called get that shirt off before you get an infection.
俺はここで子供たちのことを見てるからさ。レディ、よろしく頼むよ。
Yeah, and the children trust you more since you look like one of them. I'm so sorry, Kobayashi. This is how I cope, okay? After Kobayashi saw the two of us off, we made our way inside one of the ship's cabins.
さあ、明智さん、上を脱いで。
Ah, yeah.
いや、
Ah,
ミ
yeah.
ス・ホワイトリー、やはりここは自分で。
Ah,
それ
yeah.
はダメよ。明智さんに無理はさせられないわ。
Ah, yeah.
他人の傷口なんて目にして気持ちのいいものではないでしょ
Do it, do it, do it.
そんなこと私
ですが、
In the end, despite his protest, he could not deter me from my task. Puts on some royalty-free Barry White. It's wild how many injuries the human body can sustain without death, but can succumb to the smallest cut once bacteria is involved. Yeah, bacteria are really scary. Then suddenly a realization struck me.
明智さん、私の呼び方
He had finally begun calling me by my given name, but for reasons unknown he had reverted back to the stodgy Miss Whiteley, as though we hardly knew one another.
さっきはつい勢いで。すみません。
Ah, but we like it.
私は嬉しかったのに。
ってそんな寂しげな顔しないでください。ここで簡単に折れたら僕は意志薄弱な人間です。
Please.
私はそうは思わないわ。だから
笑顔でそんなことを言われても。
Aww. He seemed troubled, but I persisted. Hontoni big dork. Seeing the wounds of others cannot be appealing, Akechi is maybe not as smart as he thinks. Oh no, Akechi is a pure boy. Please don't tell him.
私も明智さんのことを名前で呼びたいの。だから明智さんも名前で呼んで。
仕方ありませんね。その
Ah.
嬉しいわ。ありがとう、ケンちゃん。
あなたまだ覚えていたんですか。
そんな呼び方だなんて。
She doesn't even know what Chan means.
可愛らしい呼び方だと思うけれど。
誰がケンちゃんですか。その呼ぶなら普通の名前でお願いします。
ええ。それじゃあ健一郎さん。
Oh, so what about it? Does that touch your heart, Kin-chan? As I sounded out the name, he quickly turned his back to me.
どうしたの？
More embarrassing than he thought?
すみませんが、やはりまだ僕のことは明智と呼んでください。
Come on, there's only one way to get more used to it.
でも
お願いします。今の僕ではそのまだ鍛錬は足りません。
Listening to him plead, I couldn't very well refuse him. I nodded.
でもまだということはいつかは健一郎さんと呼んでも
Yeah.
いいってことよね。
After all, it'll be confusing when we have the same last name, right?
それでは手伝っていただけますか。
He still seemed somewhat awkward calling me by my given name, but at least he was trying, and that filled me with gladness. Akechi's form was surprisingly slender compared to that of most men. Still, most likely as a result of his martial training, his muscles were clearly defined, with not an inch of loose skin or fat to be seen on him.
こういうのをしなやかな体って言うのかしら。
They get married but still refer to each other by last name, as all proper British families do. Oh no. The greatest amount of man's bare skin I had seen up until then was exposed arms when they had rolled up their sleeves. Ah, what do you think, Freya? This is pretty spicy, isn't it? Perhaps it was for that reason that I could not help but be enamored at the sight of Akechi's, sans his usual shirt and jacket. Not glasses. He's keeping those on, for now.
どうかしたんですか。やっぱり気分が悪くなったのでは。
違うわ。そうじゃないの。ちょっと見とれてしまって。
I mean, forearms are pretty hot. Yeah, they are. Oh man, the hands are the best though. Like when they're really close to you and personal, when you can just touch them and feel them. Ah, hands.
一体何に？
Oh, thank you for the sip, Tuxedoji. Captivated? Oh, is that what it said? I didn't notice. For Miss Whiteley because she thirsty. Video game Freya, are you okay over there? Never. Hi, Bad Luck Coon!
なんでもないの。なんだか恥ずかしくて直視できない。だけどちゃんと手当てしなきゃ。
Oh, I want to tickle him.
明智さん、痛かったら我慢しないで言ってね。
大丈夫です。この手の痛みには慣れています。
That's not actually better, Akechi.
慣れているとかじゃなくて、私だってできるだけ明智さんには優しくしてあげたいし、痛い思いなんて。
Yeah, we want to be real gentle.
明智さん、もしかして今の痛かった？
そうじゃありません。
でも
His sudden reticence had aroused in me a strange nervousness.
あなたからそういうけなげで可愛い言葉を言われたとき、なんと返したらいいのかわからないだけです。やっぱり僕は英国紳士にはなれそうにありませんね。女性であるあなたにこんな見苦しい姿を見せて、エスコートするどころか逆にあなたに手を引かれる始末です。感謝や謝罪の気持ちを抱いても、それをちゃんと伝えられなくて、あなたを不安にさせてしまう。あなたの笑顔を曇らせてしまう。
Akechi, what are you getting all poetic for now?
そんなこと。
すみません。情けないやつですね。あなたを困らせたくはないのに、いつも言葉が足りなくて、力が足りなくて。
明智さん、
Then you truly are a fool. He hung his head, words filled with such a defeated sadness that before I knew it, I'd embrace him from behind. Oh, you go, girl!
何を？
Yes! He shifted uncomfortably, but I was not about to let him wallow in his sorrows alone, even if he does have a gunshot wound.
お願い。怖がらないで。
I tightened my arms around him, taking care not to put pressure on his wounds.
明智さんは情けなくなんかないわ。だけど自分の足りないところばっかり目を向けて自分を責める明智さんはとても寂しそうだわ。
寂しい？
ええ。それに嫌われるのを怖がっているみたい。
I can relate.
私はたくさん明智さんに助けてもらったのに、お返しに助けることもできない。どんな姿だって一生懸命な明智さんは変わらない。
Oh.
ありがとうでも足りなくて、嬉しいでも全然足りなくて。
Try as I might, I couldn't help but feel that, in spite of any words of encouragement I might offer, I was helpless to ease his pain. It was that thought that frustrated and confounded me more than I could bear. Hi, boredom! Why do I keep getting here at the emotional parts? Because you know that you can't get bored with this. Vain though it may have been, I harbored a small hope that my embrace could, in some way, help alleviate his suffering where my words could not.
私も明智さんに安心してほしい。私の大好きな人のことを 願いだから。
She
そんな
said
風に
it.
責めないで。
She said it. She said 大好き。
あなたの言葉はすごく心に染みますね。どんな薬よりも励ましよりもずっとずっと心に染みて苦しい。
Akechi gently placed his hand atop mine, slowly closing his fingers to envelop it. Oh.
聞いてください。
I sat at rapt attention, determined to not let a single word of his pass me by.
僕はずっと。
おい、アケチ、レデ
Kobayashi.
ィー。取り込み中だったらごめん。でも船長を問い詰めたら中継地点の港がインドだって
The door flung open and through it Kobayashi came bounding.
小林くん。
The second I saw Kobayashi, his eyes wide with surprise at the scene upon which he had intruded, I was overcome with a burning sense of embarrassment.
違うの、小林くん。これはその。
Completely flustered, I quickly scooted away from Akechi.
私ったら手当ての途中でなんてこと。
Well, Akechi, are you feeling better now?
アケチ、ごめん。俺はこれで。
Kobayashi did a perfect about face and exited the cabin as fast as his legs could carry him, without breaking into a run. Run, little boy, run.
何
手当ての続きお願いします。
Yeah, we still gotta do that, huh?
明智さん。なんだか。
後で小林と話すべきことができましたね。
Having said that, he carefully adjusted his glasses, then spoke no more. Well, our ship made its way across the Mediterranean through the Suez Canal, remember that, and began its southward journey across the length of the Red Sea. Before the canal was completed, ships in transit to India or Asia had to round the southern tip of the African continent. However, its opening heralded a new age of travel, cutting a great deal of time from the trip between England and the Orient. Oh no, he's going to give Kobayashi the talk. He's ready for it. Eventually, we crossed into the Arabian Sea and sailed eastward toward the trading hub of Bombay.
インドか。確かライスカレーの本場だよな。ロンドンでも見かけたぜ。
カリーライスだけじゃないわ。インドで作られた紅茶はとっても美味しいのよ。ダージリンティーにアッサムティー、それにニルギリだってインドが本場の紅茶よ。
一昔前に存在していたイギリス東インド会社は日本の平戸にも商館を持っていました。いわばインドはエゲレスと東アジアを結ぶ重要な中継地点と言えるでしょう。
I'm feeling educated.
まずはポーロックたちの身柄を引き渡しましょう。檻の中へ閉じ込めているとはいえ油断はできません。
Oh man, don't get me started about East India. Oh boy, what is... Tell me about East India glyphs.
そうだな。昨日も檻を挟んで部下同士が喧嘩してたし、船長や船員もなんかずっとビクビクして落ち着かないし。
It's because they know that Pendleton is always watching.
もしかしたらポーロックの属している組織の情報も聞き出せるかもしれないわ。
As a Briton, I'm so sorry about all of that. You should be. Just kidding. Currently, Kobayashi is my favorite. He's a good boy. He's the only thing holding this polycule together. England colonizes the subcontinent and gives the government over to a private company. Oh yeah, I learned about that. It goes exactly as well as you would think it would. Yeah. British East India Company was at one point the most powerful navy in the world and made the rest of the English Navy look twee. Oh geez. Now safely docked in the port, we went to prepare Porlock and his motley band for their transfer to the Indian authorities. However, we were soon to discover that such a handover would prove impossible because he got busted out of jail, didn't he?
一体 誰が
We found them dead to a man, still in their cells. Oh, geez. Pendleton?
全員か。銃で撃たれてる。あいつらからは武器は全部取り上げたはずだぜ。
Pendleton, you can't just do that.
君たちの話だと、この船には彼らに連れ去られた人間が乗せられていたんですよね。それで不当な扱いを受けていたと。つまり、被害者たちは相当恨みを持たれていたということになります。僕が言うことではないのかもしれませんが、自業自得としか言いようがありませんね。
Rias, has anyone ever told you that you look exactly like another officer in England?
すみません。
They made the joke.
刑事さん、前にどこかで会ったことがありませんか？
いいえ、お嬢さんとは初対面ですよ。でもよく人に言われるんです。初めて会った気がしないって。
They finally ran out of their portrait budget, huh?
確かに。なんかどこかで見たことあるような顔だな。
人間、世界のどこかに3人は自分のそっくりさんがいると言いますからね。きっと海の向こうに僕と同じように正義感に燃える若者がいるんでしょう。
うわ、ますます見覚えがある。
このボンベイはインドの交易の拠点です。不正な取引を取り締まるのは警官である僕の義務であり使命ですから。最近はこの町でも出身地不明の子供が不当な労働をさせられることが大きな問題となっていたんです。さらわれた子供たちはここからイギリス行きの船に乗れるように手配しましょう。
ありがとうございます。
Thanks, stranger. A short distance away stood Akechi, puzzling through the details of the seemingly impossible murders. It was Pendleton.
彼らは頭を撃ち抜かれて全員即死状態。銃の扱いに長けたものでないと
Pendleton.
一発で仕留めるなんて不可能なはず。
There's an imposter among us.
小林に七つ道具を渡した者の声。まさかポーロックたちに手を下したのは。
明智さん、どうしたの？
いえ、何でもありません。
But in the end, the identity of the assassin remained a mystery, and we handed over the bodies, the ship's crew, and custody of the children to the police in Bombay.
なあ、明智。そういえば、俺すっかり忘れてたことがあるんだけど。
何ですか、小林？
レディを助けに教会に乗り込む前、学園宛てに日本から手紙が届いてたよな。明智が先生から受け取ってたやつ。
I have no idea what's going on here. Oh yeah, unfortunately, Boredom, you've kind of arrived at the last chapter of this game. Sorry about that. But anyway, this is a dating sim. We're on Akechi's ending right now, and I'm pretty sure this is the good ending. At least it better be.
確か日本を訪問中の列強の大使が何者かに襲われたとかなんとか書いてあったよな。
Silver kinda sus. They're all silver, hence my point.
もちろん忘れてなんかいませんよ。
A dating sim about drugs and violence. Yeah, there's a surprising number of like English translated otome games that are about drugs and violence. I saw that Axis, like, for instance, put out a notice that they're purposely localizing those sorts of works because they feel that they would appeal more to the American audience than, say, the fluffy slices of life. I like fluffy slice of life, though. Like, they said that maybe American girls wouldn't be interested in the whole unicorns and sparkles thing, but unicorns and sparkles are good. Yume Nikki. I don't think that Yume Nikki is a dating sim. Akechi paused a moment before answering.
幸い大使は一命を取り留めましたが、暗殺未遂事件として国内で大きな問題になっているそうです。外交問題に発展する可能性があるため、慎重に捜査を進めなければならないと。
死人が出なくてよかったけど、やっぱり日本の異国に対する差別は厳しいよな。
Yume Nikki is a visual novel, though? It really isn't. It really isn't. It is with enough imagination. You got me there.
で、手紙にはまだ続きがあるんだろう？
はい。残念ながら警視庁にも愛国心で異国を排除しようとする考えは存在しているようです。
It has choices. By that logic, Final Fantasy is also a visual novel, Viv. Viv?
公平な捜査を進めるためには国外で見識を身につけた者の協力が必要だと書かれていました。僕たちも日本に戻るようにと。
やっぱりそういうことかよ。
Sure. Final Fantasy even has dating sequences. Let's make Final Fantasy visual novels too. Aha! So you're admitting that Final Fantasy isn't a visual novel already. Kobayashi sighed, knowing that he and Akechi had little say in the matter.
留学中の俺たちを呼び戻すんだから、よっぽど深刻なんだろうな。
でしょうね。今後の日本の外交にも大きく影響するかもしれません。僕たちは国の支援で留学している身です。故郷で必要とされているんです。答えないわけにはいきません。
明智の師匠もさ、この事件を解決したらお前のことを見直すかもしれないな。
それはどうでしょうね。
Akechi cast his gaze downward, his lack of confidence palpable.
でも帰るとしたらこのまま日本を目指すのが一番早いよな。ここってアジアへの玄関口なんだろ。日本へ向けての交易船も出てるみたいだし。
ええ、そうです。
でもレディは早くエゲレスに帰りたいだろうな。
そうでしょうね。
We're coming with you.
でも明智はレディとは片時も離れたくないんだよ
な。はい、そうでそういうわけがないでしょう。一体何を言わせようとしてるんですか、お前は。
違うのか？
Kobayashi's eyes were wide with interest, but the same energy was nowhere to be found in Akechi's reply. This is some nice music. Yeah, I really like the soundtrack here.
僕たちと違って彼女はエゲレスで帰りを待つ者がたくさんいます。早く帰った方がいいに決まっています。
It's okay, we'll be fine as long as we have Pendleton with us. And Pendleton is with us.
でもそれって明智が決めつけてるだけだろ。レディに直接聞いてみないのか？
Oh, I forgot about them. Jack would be really sad if we were gone. And, like, he would feel no more guilt when it comes to murdering innocent people. And more importantly, Lupin. Lupin. Ah.
大方想像がついています。断られるに決まっています。
How long has Akechi been in England? He's got that Byronic brooding down pat.
決めつけは良くないよ。もしかしたらレディが笑ってうなずいてついでに抱きついてくるかもしれないじゃん。
Yeah, I will.
どうしてそこで抱きつくにまで飛躍する。
レディって意外と大胆だからいやー、傷だらけの男、しかも明智に抱きつくなんてそう簡単にできることじゃないよ。
悪かった。
でもこればっかりはお前からレディに言わないと意味がないよ。二人とも相手のことばっかり考えてるんだからさ。ここぞって時は男のお前からビシッと言ってやれよ。
Even in the end, Kobayashi is the only reason this route goes well at all. What if this is the bad end? I refuse. I refuse!
小林。
断られた時は俺が全力で慰めてやるからさ。
いえ、それは結構です。
Don't be mean. And so several days passed. Arrangements had been made for the children to return to London aboard a trading vessel headed for London. To return to England. Have you seen the KFC dating sim? I sure have! I haven't played it since I, am not a fan of, corporate parody kind of inching into what's considered a niche hobby. Koba-kun MVP? Yeah, he really is. Under the circumstances, one would expect me to join them on that same ship. However, I was still uncertain as to what I should do.
明智さんと小林くんは日本で起こっている事件の捜査に協力する私はどうしたらいいのかしら。このまままっすぐイギリスに。
正直言ってあなたが日本へ来るのはあまりおすすめできません。
She's still thinking about that time Akechi was negging her. I found myself recalling what Akechi had once said to me with a twinge of pain in my chest.
私のわがままを言っても
If telling him that I wished to join him on his journey would only cause him trouble, it would perhaps be for the best to simply say goodbye with a smile on my face. I turned to him, a maelstrom of emotions whirling within my heart. He was kneeling there so that he might see the children face to face. Ah, he's so sweet. They looked back at him quietly, gazes filled with confusion.
僕はあなたたちが生まれた国とは違う場所で生まれ育ちました。
And those children will learn to not be racist, hopefully.
僕が英国で過ごした時間はあなたたちよりもずっと短い。それでもいやだからこそ強く思います。あなたたちの故郷は素晴らしい国です。
A certain serenity seemed to settle over Akechi's features as he spoke.
これほど未来へ躍進する国を文化の根付いた国、女性が強くて優しい国を僕は知りません。
About that, Akechi hasn't been to a lot of countries, you see.
あなたたちの故郷で学ぶことができて、海を越えて英国に渡ることができて、本当に良かったと思っています。どうか自分の生まれ故郷に誇りを持ってください。
You see, Akechi is from Japan and, well, yeah. Yeah.
僕が好きな国の未来には、あなたたちの笑顔と元気が必要なんです。あなたたちには少し難しかったかもしれませんね。
The children nodded in response. Some were slow to signal their affirmation, while others reacted with far more forcefulness.
それは頼もしいですね。
He then went around placing his hand on the head of each of the children one by one. Aw, can you pat us too? Each reacted in a different way. From some he elicited surprise, while others seemed altogether uncertain how to respond to such a gesture. But by the time he had withdrawn his hand, each wore a smile, even if shyly and tentatively. What a tea-a-boo!
やっぱり明智ってなんだかんだ言って面倒見。
As I looked on, I couldn't help but think back to the time when he had tousled young Rick's hair in the same manner as now. Oh yeah, Rick, what happened to that guy? In that moment, I completely understood how that child must have felt, constantly chasing Akechi, desiring fervently to become his pupil. Wow, Akechi didn't even manage to give him a single lesson before going back to Japan, huh? But while Rick was able to chase after him without pausing to worry whether Akechi might find his actions bothersome, giving heed only to his own desires, I was unable to.
困らせてはいけないと分かっている。
Kobayashi give her advice too.
一言だけたった一言。それなのにどうして。
Instinctively, I squeezed my eyes tightly shut, sealing up the tears that threatened to flow forth. But even more time to stop for me in my sadness, it would continue its march for others. Oh, fitness! Okay. Thank you, boredom. Thank you. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. Thank you. I'm getting healthier every day, I hope.
あの
I could do it 3 more times. Please don't. I opened my eyes and found Akechi standing there before me.
明智さん。
A flash of embarrassment took hold of me, and my first thought was to immediately excuse myself. Don't you dare.
待ってください。
He gently took hold of my arm, as though to calm my fears.
恥ずかしい話ですがここ数日ずっとあなたのことを考えていました。いえ、ずっと悩んでいたと言った方が正しいでしょうか。
悩んでいた。
あなたを潔くエゲレスへ送り出すべきなのか、僕のわがままをあなたにぶつけるべきなのか。
At his words, my heart fairly skipped a beat.
本当ならここであなたとお互いの検証を願って別れれば綺麗でも、それができるほど僕はできた男ではないとようやく気づきました。遠くへ行ってしまうあなたに僕は検証なんて願えない。
Yeah? You need us by your side? I felt the firmness of his grip in my arm, but at his words it tightened ever so slightly.
明智さん。
もしあなたが少しでも僕と一緒にいることを望んでくれる、
Yeah!
僕と一緒に日本へ。
Who is it?
お嬢様
空に。
But just as I began to doubt my own ears, I heard it again.
お嬢様ご無事ですかお嬢様。
俺の気のせいか。ものすごく
I didn't think that Pendleton would actually reveal himself. Kobayashi's puzzlement and Akechi's expression confirmed that I hadn't been the only one to hear the voice that had called out to me.
やっと追いつきましたか。ここまでたどり着くのには骨が折れましたよ。
Oh, like it was that hard when you were on the boat all along, Pendleton.
ご無事で何よりです、お嬢様。
ペンデルトン。
My surprise at seeing him strolling down the deck toward me could not have escaped anyone's notice.
ペンデルトンさん、一体どこから降ってきたんだ。
あなた、どうやってこんな場所に。
お嬢様、私を見くびらないでください。私はお嬢様にお仕えしている執事ですよ。お嬢様を連れ去った船の航路を予測し、陸路で追いかけるとたやすいことです。
Pendleton is kinda scary. I like that.
陸路。
嘘だろ。
Fukunaga-san, your cynicism does you discredit. This upstanding butler was on the number 8 bus here.
失礼ですね。私がお嬢様に嘘をつくわけがありません。
よくここまでたどり着けたわね。
持つべきものはいざという時に助けてくれる友人ですよ。
Pendleton's adventures on the roads and seas should be its own game. Yeah. Although we found Pendleton's story to strain all credibility, there was no doubting that it was indeed he who stood there before us.
しかし、明智くんと小林くんにも困りましたね。まさか直接船に乗り込むなんて考えもしませんでしたよ。
影から僕たちを焚きつけておいてよくそんな白々しいこと。
おや、一体何の話です？
Oh, yeah?
いいえ、エゲレスの執事は日本の忍び並みに有能なのだと思っただけです。
Ninja Butler.
それは買いかぶりですよ、明智くん。私はただの有能な執事です。
He's just one heck of a butler.
ただの有能ですか。
どうしてかしら。二人の間に不穏な空気が漂っているような気が
Aw,
するわ。
our dad doesn't get along with our future husband.
私が教会で捕まっている間に何かあったのかしら。
お嬢様、インドの乾燥した気候はお嬢様のお肌には合いません。私
でも
すみませんが、ペンデルトンさん、
Suddenly, Akechi took hold of my arm.
一つ言わせてください。僕の目の前で彼女を連れ去ろうとするのはやめてください。
Oh, Akechi's so bold.
明智さん。
おやおや、八つ当たりはやめてください、明智くん。もったいぶってさっさと言わないあなたにも非があります。
わざとあのタイミングで声をかけるとは見上げた性格の持ち主ですね。あなたは。
ええ、ありがとうございます。大体あなたはいつからお嬢様を名前呼びするようになったんですか？
彼女をどう呼ぼうが 僕の自由です。
Ooh, he's getting possessive? Yeah.
途中で呼び方を変える者はなかなかいませんよ。どんな心境の変化です？何があったんです？
あなたに今節丁寧に答える気になれません。
Yeah, we don't kiss and tell. The words they exchanged on the surface seemed restrained, polite, and calm. However, we are British and we know better. But the looks in their eyes as they glared at each other seemed unusually frosty.
うわこんなに割って入りたくない1対1。
Although I shared Kobayashi's timely sentiment, I knew I couldn't let Akechi and Pendleton continue staring each other down.
明智さんもペンデルトンもそんな怖い顔しないで。
とにかくお嬢様はロンドンへ帰ります。
それはお断りします。
Akechi pulled me close to him.
僕は彼女を日本へ連れて行こうと思います。いえ、連れて行きます。
Oh.
僕は僕自身にかけて誓います。日本でどんなことが起こっても彼女は僕が必ず守ると。だからロンドンへは行かせません。ペンテルトンさん、どうしても彼女を連れて行くというのなら今ここで僕と勝負してください。
Akechi, no.
絶対に負けませんから。
Akechi was now gazing straight on at Pendleton, with no hesitation of any sort visible in his bearing. Akechi, you can't just solve everything with a duel.
明智。
本来ならまず先にあなたの意思を確かめなければいけなかったのに、こんなことを言って戸惑わせてしまってすみません。
Akechi, this is so unnecessary.
ですが僕はこの先もあなたと一緒にいたい。
His attention turned to me. Right in front of my butler?
僕のわがままを受け入れてもらえませんか。
The iron of the gaze he shown Pendleton had melted away, and in his eyes I saw gentle kindness, and even a trace of nervousness. It felt as though he was showing his own weakness to me, and my chest tightened at the thought. And in that moment, I knew I wanted to go with him. The wish he had held to be so selfish was, in fact, the self-same wish I harbored.
明智さん、私こそとてもわがままよ。私、明智さんの故郷をこの目で見たい。
Akechi, this is a little creepy. Yeah, it kind of is. Like, in real life, I wouldn't be into this, but since Akechi's been so, I guess, what's the word? Passive for most of this route, this is a welcome change.
今、日本で起こっている事件解決の小林くんの言っていたおにぎりもモナカも食べてみたいし、私も明智さんと一緒に日本へ行きたい。
ありがとうございます。
Only then did I realize how nervous Akechi must have been about asking me, for I saw relief spread over his face and through his posture. It is nice to see him grow a backbone.
よかったな、明智。お前がレディーに抱きついて。俺の予想は見事に外れたけど、結果オーライじゃん。
お嬢様が海を越え広い視野を持とうとなさることは私も嬉しいです。
Aw, Pendleton was just trying to encourage him?
ペンデルトン、それじゃ
ですがダメです。
No.
なんでだよ。この流れでダメというその心は。
動機が不純です。いけません。
What? But we're a pure maiden.
一体どこが不純なの？
明智君と一緒にというあたりは。
そんな薄情なこと言ってくれるなよ。そこ結構大事なところだろ。
The myth of consent. Isn't there someone you forgot to ask?
明智さんの生まれ育った場所だからこそ行きたいのよ。そこは譲れないわ。
So much had happened that I wasn't about to give in, even if it meant arguing with Pendleton.
ペンデルトンさん、少しだけ待つので
Akechi,
お
no!
好きな武器を用意してください。
No!
明智さん？
He released my arm, and to my surprise, his hand immediately hovered over the pommel of his katana.
あなたは下がっていてください。危ないですから。
そんな、
おや、勝負で決めますか？お嬢様がかかっているのであれば、私も喜んで相手になりますよ。
Akechi, you're going to die. I can't believe this is the bad end after all. As a disturbingly cheerful smile spread across his face, Pendleton reached into his jacket.
覚悟の上です。彼女がかかっているのなら、たとえあなたと差し違えてでも。
待って二人ともそれはやめて。喧嘩。
いえ、これは喧嘩ではありません。ただの喧嘩だったら、ここまで命をかけたりしませんから。
Akechi is fool. His unflinching confrontation of Pendleton made clear that he meant every word he said.
なおさらダメよ。明智さん、刀を収めて。私、明智さんは好きだけど、好戦的で喧嘩っ早い人は嫌いよ。
明智、落ち込むのか照れるのか、どっちかにしてくれ。見てるこっちが恥ずかしい。
やれやれ、その程度で動揺をあらわにするとは。
So he says, but Pendleton stopped too.
ペンデルトン？
What? Before I could move to stop him, Pendleton had pointed his gun at Akechi. Pendleton, we hold no love.
そこまで言うなら、明智君、今ここでその覚悟の一つでも見せてください。
Dad, you're embarrassing me. I was stunned into speechlessness at the sound of a gunshot rang across the deck. Unflinching, unmoving, Akechi's glare toward Pendleton remained steady. He's been shot before, he ain't scared of you.
なぜ避けようとしなかったのですか？
あなたからは、武器を持つ者特有の緊張感は感じられましたが、ここであなたの挑発に乗ったら、僕は彼女を守れませんから。
Aww. The bullet Pendleton had fired was lodged in the wooden planks of the deck. Oh no, there's a hole in the boat. We're all gonna die.
なるほど。そこまで見抜いてもなお、お嬢様を守るという意志が揺るがないのなら、仕方ありませんね。ギリギリ及第点です。お嬢様をお任せしてもいいでしょう。
Pendleton, you just wanted to scare him, didn't you? Pendleton nodded, putting away his gun.
でも、ペンデルトン、明智さんに銃を向けるなんて。
これもお嬢様のためです。お嬢様もお忘れなきよう。ロンドンにはお嬢様を待っている人々がいます。私はお嬢様が広い視野と見聞を持ちお帰りになること。
He smiled softly at me. Ever ready to chide me for my errors as he was, Pendleton also never failed to consider my feelings, and I was filled with a profound thankfulness for both aspects of the man.
ありがとう、ペンデルトン。
明智君、少しでもお嬢様を悲しませるようなことがあれば、即イギリスへお嬢様を連れて帰りますので、そのつもりで。
望むところです。
Akechi took me in his arms as if it were the most natural thing in the world.
そんなことは万が一にもありえませんが。
European princess carried.
明智さん。
The warmth of my happiness mingled with my embarrassment, and before I knew it, I was blushing, uncertain whether to fix my gaze on him or the floor. Once it had been decided that I would be traveling to Japan, I decided before my departure to pay a visit to an old friend of my parents, who had taken up residence in Bombay. Upon learning my parentage, he welcomed me into his home with open arms. I came to learn that he had moved to India before my birth, and had not been back to England for quite some time. He seemed fascinated to hear me tell of modern England, and that I was attending school. Used to be attending? I guess we're a dropout now? Sorry, Queen.
それでこんなに航海中の物資を分けてくれたのか。しかも航海に長けた船乗りまで。
The lives of rich people are wild.
船の中で味わうといいと、紅茶とオレンジもたくさんいただいたわ。
We'll need those for the scurvy.
類は友を呼ぶとも申します。亡き旦那様と奥様のご友人は 気持ちのいい方ばかりですから。
人と人の間には切っても切れない縁というものがあるんですね。
You're one to talk, Akechi.
そうね。腰に刀を刺す明智さんが言うと、なんだか余計に重みがあるわ。
Oh, that's why you look like a princess? Yeah. We're the heir to the House Whiteley. Or rather, we're already the head of the House Whiteley. Because our parents are dead.
この様子なら明日にはこの港を出発できるでしょう。お嬢様、長期間の船旅は無意識に体に負担をかけます。今夜は船室でお早めにお休みください。
Yes, Dad.
でもみんなは。
This ain't about them.
明智くんも小林くんも船には慣れています。もちろんこの私も。
でも私だけ先に休むなんて。
ペンデルトンさんの言う通りです。あなたが乗り物に強いということは知っています。ですが蓄積された疲労ほど目に見えず怖いものはありません。自分の体のためにも僕たちを安心させるためにも。いや、
You two better not get into another duel while I'm asleep. Accepting at last, I walked away with Pendleton at my side to do as I was advised.
いいのか、明智。
こうでも言わなければ彼女に無理を強いてしまいます。
聞き分けのいいこと言っちゃってさ。本当は一緒にいたいくせに。
Oh, did you want to keep me up all night, Akechi?
その通りです。だからこそ自分本位にならないためにも今は頭を冷やしたい。
Why would Pendleton duel when Akechi has to sleep? I wonder.
お前本当に好きなんだな、レディのこと。
何か文句でも？
開き直るなよ、このバーカ。
That's right, you haven't responded to our confession yet, Akechi. No matter how long I lay in my bed, sleep seemed to elude me.
いつもなら疲れていたらすぐにぐっすり眠れたのに。
God, I wish that were me. Lying there, my thoughts couldn't help but drift to the journey to Japan on which I was soon to embark, and to Akechi.
ダメだわ。眠れないし落ち着かない。
Baka. Yeah. It had been Akechi who encouraged me to get to bed early. Yet, as those thoughts played out in my mind, I couldn't help but recall that his usually calm expression had an air of loneliness to it this night. Are we gonna sneak into Akechi's room?
甲板で風に吹かれたら少しは気持ちが落ち着くかしら。
Quietly, I stepped out of my cabin.
不思議ね。ロンドンの夜空よりも月や星がずっと大きく見えるわ。きっと流れ星があったらすぐにわかるでしょうね。
Once I had reached the deck, I slowly walked toward the bow of the ship, gazing up at the sky. But I stopped short at what I saw. Akechi?
私は一体何を願えばいいのかしら。
There stood Akechi, gazing at the faraway stars alone. It was a captivating sight. His silvery hair, illuminated in the light of the moon, swayed gently in the sea breeze. His gaze, powerful and piercing when directed at others, was pointed out toward the night sky above and the dark waves below. What was he thinking, I wondered? What sights and memories were playing before his own eyes?
明智さん、日本のことを。
Though my first impulse was to call out to him, I found myself hesitating. But, as fortune would have it, he turned to see me there.
あなたはもう休んだのでは？
I could only assume that he had somehow sensed my presence, for I'd been quiet as a mouse.
休もうとしたんだけれど落ち着かなくて。いつもならすぐに眠れるんだけれど。
まるで遠足前の子供のようですね。大方想像がつきます。あなたは前日に興奮して眠れず当日に睡眠不足を引きずるタイプですね。
Why's he gotta call me out like this?
そんなことないわ。当日も 気持ちと元気で乗り切るタイプよ。
そうきましたか。あなたらしいというかなんというか。でもこの季節の海風は体を冷やします。だから早めに部屋に戻った方がいい。
No, let's go back to my room together.
だけど明智さんは？
僕にはこのくらいがちょうどいいからいいんです。
それじゃああともうちょっとだけ。
寒くならないようにしてくださいね。
And if we get cold, are you gonna let us borrow your cape, Akechi? I sidled up next to him, the light breeze rustling my hair. Unlike the night sky, brightened by the pale light of the moon and spangled with starlight, the sea was an unending sheet of darkness as far as the eye could see, an abyss one might be drawn into simply gazing into it.
明智さんはどうしてこんなところに？
少し落ち着いて考え事がしたかっただけです。
もしかして故郷のことを？
ええ。
He stood silently for a moment, as though considering what to say next.
そういえばあなたにこの刀のことを話していませんでしたね。
You can't spell ski without ski?
明智さんの刀大切なものなんでしょ？
はい。この刀は元服14歳の時に僕の師匠から託されたものなんです。
師匠？
変な話ですよね。あれだけ自分から遠ざけ続けていた存在なのに捨てることができなかった。
Unless you're Japanese, in which case they are spelled completely differently. Yeah.
師匠から得たものがあったから僕は倒れることなく前に進み続けることができました。あなたを守ることもできた。
ずっとあなたを支えてくれていたのね。
日本に戻ったら師匠に会いに行ってみようかと思っているんです。
Oh, I'm so proud of you, Akechi. His voice had lowered to almost a whisper, but I heard every word.
僕は今までずっと彼に見捨てられたと思っていたんですが、僕自身を家族から守るためにわざと憎まれ役を買って出たのではないかと。
He's finally realizing.
そう思うようになって、それを本人から直接確かめたいと。
Akechi's expression showed that he was not fully rid of his hesitation, but the gloom that had before pervaded him when he spoke of his master was nowhere to be seen. And that, small though it might have seemed, filled me with much happiness.
でもそう思えたのはあなたのおかげなんです。
私の？
大切なものほど危険な目に合わせたくなくて遠ざけようとする。ちょうど以前あなたが日本に行きたいと口にした時のことを思い出したんです。
明智さん、あの時は日本に来るのはおすすめできませんって。
思い返せば僕も師匠も人を気遣えば気遣うほど言葉の選択をよく間違っていましたから。
Yep, like adoptive father, like son. I wonder if they had to make a whole new character for Akechi's parental figure since they thought that the original Kagoro Akechi just wouldn't do that? I've never read Kagoro Akechi stuff. Actually, did he have a love interest? Akechi sighed, realizing the similarities.
明智さんが？
はい。特にあなたに対して。
Akechi's gaze flitted to my face, settling there only briefly before he looked back out at the sea.
情けない姿を見られたくなくてあなたを遠ざけて逃げようとして。あの時もそうでした。学園の中庭であなたの手を振り払ったずっと後悔していたんです。すぐにあなたに謝れればあなたを不安にさせることもなかったと。
He didn't have a love interest at all, no? His wife would have gotten very upset. He was married? Wait, Kagoro Akechi was married in his books? They killed off his wife?
それなのに、あなたと隣に立つホームズ君を見たら、僕は逃げ出すことしかできなかった。
To Fumio, Akechi. I see. He had a canon wife and they just killed her off? As backstory? That's kind of messed up.
見苦しいですよね。男の嫉妬なんて。
Akechi gave me a weak smile. He seemed so regretful, so sad, that I couldn't help but contradict him.
そんなことないわ。明智さんが強くて厳しいだけの人ではないと分かって、優しくて不器用で、だけどそれを隠そうと一生懸命なんだと分かって、
Yeah,
とって
that's
も
really
嬉しかっ
sweet.
た。それをこうして私に伝えてくれる明智さんだから、一緒にいたいと思ったのよ。
Freya been flirting with a bachelor this whole time. Oh, don't worry. Akechi here is that Akechi's son. His mom is dead. He mentioned that before. And that's why his dad was upset and sent him to be raised by a swordsman master. I can't believe Kogoro Akechi did this.
あなたは本当に優しい女性ですね。
それは違うわ。心優しい女性なら、こんなにあなたに迷惑をかけて困らせようとはしないもの。ただ離れたくなくて、遠くに行ってほしくなくて。
Akechi, now would be a great time to respond to the confession.
ごめんなさい。私はどう頑張っても黒髪の大和なでしこにはなれないわ。
It's okay, neither can I. I trailed off, not knowing where to go from there, and Akechi looked at me with great puzzlement.
どうしてそこで黒髪が出てくるんですか？
明智さんの好みの女の。
すみませんが、あなたがそういう女性になるのは無理です。
I knew full well that he was correct, but the truth of it added all the more to the sting I felt.
言われなくたって分かっているわよ。私は慎みもないし、おとなしくしていないし、正座もできないし。
いえ、そうではありません。僕が許しません。僕が好きなのは目の前のあなたです。だから、ありのままのあなたでいてほしい。
Oh. As he spoke, he took my hand in his. Kiss? Kiss?
危なっかしいところも、放っておけないところも含めたあなたが一番好きなんです。
He said it.
だから、絶対に黒髪の大和なでしこなんか目指さないでください。あなたが自分自身を卑下することは僕が許しません。それに
Akechi gently ran his fingers through my long locks.
僕はあなたのこの金色の髪が好きだ。このままでいてほしい。ずっと。
He was so direct, so earnest, that I was stunned into silence. Yet I wished to respond in some way to his declaration. Though nervousness beset me, I could not help but convey my feelings to him. Kobayashi, hey guys, I just found a cool bug. Rationally, I knew I had little reason to worry. After all, Akechi was bound to accept what I said. After all, he was...
なんだか明智さんは海みたいね。
それはどういう意味ですか？
激しい波が押し寄せたかと思ったら、すごく穏やかになって、いろいろな一面を持ってるの。
That means nothing.
だけど、そのさざ波の音は安らぎを与えてくれて。
I thought that she was going to say something like, really dark and can seem at times imperceptible, but actually filled with so much beauty and wonder.
私もそんな大きな海が好き。
My heartbeat seemed to thunder in my chest as my cheeks flushed with warmth. However, I had managed to confess to him my feelings, and was convinced that in his kindness he would accept my words.
お返しするなら、あなたはまるで月のような人ですね。どんな暗い夜でも光で照らし、僕を導いてくれる。この綺麗な髪の毛のように優しい光で。
Oh, Akechi has a blonde fetish.
海の潮の満ち引きが月のせいで引き起こされるのも納得です。僕はあなたに突き飛ばされたり引っ張られたり動揺させられっぱなしですから。
私がそんなこと。
You see, Akechi knows how to be poetic. While I understood the basis for his thoughts, I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by being compared to something with the allure and mystique of the moon.
そういえば、月といえば僕の故郷の日本にはこんな和歌が残っています。はい、久方の天津美空に照る月のうせなむ日こそ我が恋山。
That's so sweet.
万葉集という歌集に収められた1000年以上昔に読まれた和歌です。夜空に輝く月がなくなる日があるというのが、その時にこそ私のこの思いは共になくなることだろう。月はどんなに姿を変えようとも空から消えてなくなる日などありません。つまり
Yes! Yes! Akechi's hands rested on my cheek, fingers slightly chilled to the touch from standing out on the deck. Yet, the warmth in my cheeks was so great I scarcely noticed.
僕はあなたが愛しい。光が照らすこの世界の中で誰よりも。
Boredom! Okay, fitness it is. Alright. I'm just gonna do 5 on each arm then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to Akechi!
あなたという月を僕は決して消えさせやしない。この命にかけてもあなたを守ります。どうか僕を信じてください。まあ、最後のあたりはほとんど僕の決意表明ですけどね。
With a shy smile on his face, he pulled me closer to him. We did it! We did it! We did it! We kissed the boy! Then he kissed me. I accepted his affection as a feeling of serenity washed over me. My heart, on the other hand, showed no signs of slowing its rapid pulse. I couldn't help but wonder if Akechi felt it as well. And yet, with his hand on my cheeks and his lips pressed to mine, it felt as though he had embraced everything about me, that there was no shame or embarrassment between us. I wanted to give something back to him, the man who had given such happiness to me.
明智さんのそばにいたい。もっと一緒にいたい。もっと触れたい。それは星に願うことなんかじゃない。願いや夢は叶うものじゃなくて叶えるものなんだもの。
Just as he had embraced me, risking so much, I wanted to protect Akechi and his kind, pure heart. Beneath the soft light of the moon, surrounded by the lapping of gentle waves, I drew myself closer to him. The day to come would see us depart from Bombay, setting sail for Japan. What grand sights would I see there? What sorts of people might I meet? It was impossible to even speculate. The only thing of which I could be certain was that every sight, every custom, every moment would be wholly new to me, things I read of in books finally given shape. But where once that thought might have been cause for a feeling of uneasiness, now there was only excited anticipation. After all, I would have the person I loved most who had ventured across this vast ocean by my side. That feeling alone was enough to buoy my spirits, In that moment, all that the future might hold seemed to me dazzling and bright. The door to a new story, An English Lady in an Eastern Land, has been opened in the extras section. Oh, they have epilogues, huh? Wait! You can do Lupin now! New destinies have been discovered, and there are more wishing to take your hand than ever before. Oh, yes! Lupin can take my hand anytime. They reached the destined end. Oh, so I think that's the best ending. Now for the credits. Let's pay respect to everybody here, okay? Where's the credits? There they are! Mycroft Jr. and Moriarty Jr., huh? Huh. It's him. This is a really good UI design. You should be proud. Hatodoritsuki. Thanks for the sip, Zakuichi. That was nice. I'm glad I got this game. Well, that was it for our very first route of London Detective Mysteria. Thank you so much, Karen Entertainment and Company. This really is kind of a masterpiece. Yeah. It's like, I know that the PC release kept getting delayed a lot, so I'm glad to see that like the time that they spent was really put to good use. The localization here is really good. And like, of course, I love the boys. I love them. Look at these boys who I love. Look at him. Look. Soon. Yeah. Next we play again for Lupin. Yeah. And of course we have a complete CG gallery for Akechi. At least I'm assuming that these are intentionally left blank, or that they're part of the epilogue? What was your favorite CG, everybody? My favorite was probably, let me see. Yeah, I think that I like this one the best. Silly clumsy Emily. Like they have the backgrounds too. Oh, we have 3 more movies. No, there's 5 boys, so it doesn't make sense for it to have a different ending sequence for each boy. Lady Freya begin Lupin arc. This might be the most intense arc of all time. Those chibis. Yeah, the chibis are great. And you can find icons of them on their website. Rewards? Oh, so this is the item gallery. Oh, I thought that it was like an evidence folder, but it's actually just misc things that you've discovered? Interesting. Oh, and you can view scenes one by one. Organized by route. Red? Oh, so the overarching story, huh? That's right, we would probably need to go on... Wait. Yeah, I would assume that we would have to go on Holmes's route to find out the truth, but then again, it seemed to encourage you to go for Holmes first. And the true ending usually isn't the very first one. Because Holmes, you don't need to unlock Holmes, he's available right from the beginning. So which route is the true ending? Well, I guess that I'll find that out on my own time. Because, like I had said before, I'm only planning on playing just a couple routes for this. This game you can find on, various platforms, I think... wait, is GOG still alive? I got this on GOG, but I am not sure. Or, well, I'm pretty sure that this is on Steam also. And, as always, thank you so much everybody for joining me. Let me see who we can raid. Ah, Daishima is, making tea. Tuxedoji, you like tea, right? Does everybody else here like tea? Oh, bless you. Thank you, Bad Luck-kun. Take care and rest well, Lady Freya. You too, Bad Luck-kun. Alright. You're going to raid this magical boy. Some nice Sunday tea time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know why I did it like that, but I had a lot of fun today. Alright, good night everybody! And again, thank you so much for following me on this journey. Goodbye! Rei Fukunaga signing off.